I just started once I hit record. It was quiet as could be till I hit record.
Just some kids drag racing outside, I think, Mom.
Borderline personality disorder. In the last video, I was telling all of you to, well, especially the ones with BPD, that you need to become more self-aware. That's very good advice. It's great. It's groundbreaking even. Hell, I should make $1 million just for that kind of advice. How do you get there, though? How do you begin that process? I kind of threw you into the deep end on that one. If you could do that already, then you probably wouldn't be watching these videos. Alright, now we'll get into the good stuff here. These are in no particular order whatsoever. None of these are more important than the other in my mind. These are just, they're all equally good and all have equally beneficial things. Cell phones, get rid of them. I mean, you can have them. I still have a cell phone, but I only use my cell phone for making phone calls, and I don't even like doing text messaging on it. Unfortunately, if you make phone calls nowadays, most people will not accept them. They just don't pick up phone calls, so you have to text.
Why don't you answer your phone, Bob?
We think we're multitasking. You know those people that think they're multitasking? They're driving while on the cell phone? You even try to like, I can either control the phone or the steering wheel. I could drive. That way you can do whatever you're doing on the... No, I've got it. I'm multitasking. This keeps me from being bored. What? You're driving an automobile at 60 plus miles an hour, and you need to be on your cell phone so you're not bored? I'm very not bored when driving. I'm very, very into what I'm doing. Don't text and drive. Don't use your cell phone to not be bored. That's maybe the #1 thing for the cell phone rule, is don't use your phone for entertainment. Use your phone for purposeful things. If you're using your phone, it needs to have a purpose. There has to be a reason you're doing it, and the reason cannot be to entertain yourself or to check your Facebook, because that's not something you need to do. Maybe in a very rare instance, but for the most part, no. And don't make excuses and try to cop out, because you're only cheating yourself. I mean, if you try this and then you just use your phone anyway, what's the point? Why even bother, right? It's stupid. A lot of people can't do it because we're so addicted to our cell phones. I will even admit that this is like my rule, and I still have a hard time when I'm in line. There used to be a time when we didn't have cell phones or anything. When we were in a line, we'd just stand in the line. Now we've got to get on our phone and start checking stuff, and you know what that does? It pulls us out of reality. It pulls us out of the situation. People used to get to know each other standing in a line, believe it or not. We used to have to engage with one another. Now, we can be in a room full of people, all waiting on the same thing, and none of us are interacting, none of us are getting any kind of bond from that. And I'm not saying that interacting with people is a good thing. I mean, it is, but I'm not saying that I enjoy it, or that it's fun. Most of my interaction with people, the only reason I do it is that way later on I can be so happy that I'm no longer interacting with people. It's great. I'll not pull out my phone so that I have to stand there in the line, awkward, not knowing what to do with my hands, not knowing how to stand, wishing I could have something to distract me from this utter boredom, because it is boring and just standing there and just very irritating. But then it ends, and the things you feel during that are like real, actual feelings and emotions, and you deal with them. This is a great way to start. You want to deal with rage or whatever you want to deal with? I mean, that's norms out there. Maybe you want to just deal with something. I don't know what norms need to deal with, but I'm sure that you have your issues as well. Or, like I said, maybe you don't have issues. This is just a good... It's interesting to get back to feeling stuff, and not having that phone to distract us, or social media to distract us, whatever we're doing on the phone. to actually go through the awkwardness of having to wait without being distracted. Doctors' offices are great for this. Go to the doctors and don't be on your phone in the waiting room. That's fun. Therefore, the purpose of the whole cell phone, not using it, is to feel uncomfortable, to be bored in public situations where normally you'd have that phone as a security. It's almost like a security blanket. We pull it out so we don't have to feel uncomfortable. Well, in this exercise, we want to feel uncomfortable. We want to get used to feeling uncomfortable. If you're going to ever control your actions and get control over your emotions, you have to be able to deal with uncomfortable situations. They're going to come up a lot, and you've got to know how to deal with your emotions when they're screaming one thing and you have to go against them and do the other. That's what this is to kind of get you used to. If you don't practice it, how are you going to use it in a real life situation when there's real anger and shit getting thrown at your face? This one is one of my favorites. Start taking cold showers. They're uncomfortable. Once again, this is that whole uncomfortable thing. If you want to get control over your emotions, get control over your first physical reactions. You know what your first instinct is when you jump into a cold shower? Every cell in your body just screams out at you not to do what you're doing. I take cold showers every day. I don't even use hot water anymore. I really would consider myself to be doing myself a disservice to use hot water. It is an incredible experience because it is so incredibly miserable and horrible, and it goes against everything you want to do. And to be able to conquer it, to be able to do it, to be able to complete that shower, makes you feel good about yourself. And for the rest of the day, you don't really have to go through anything that's that miserable. You start your day off with the biggest hurdle, and the rest of the day is pretty freaking easy. Let's say you have that anger that you can't control. It gets to a certain point and you just lose it. Well, these cold showers will help you to focus in and train yourself to be able to deal with those situations where you just instinctively react. Because when you get hit with cold water, your first instinct is to turn it off and go back to the hot water. And that's probably what you're going to do for the first month, 2 months, 3 months. It took me 6-7 months before I could actually do it. But eventually you'll get there, and you just keep practicing, keep trying. Or don't. And if you never want to make change in your life, then don't make change in your life. If you just want to talk about changing things, but you never actually want to take any action, you don't want to do anything to change your life, don't expect it to change. Do we manifest our reality? Yes. But can we just sit back and do nothing and manifest reality? No. To do it, you must expel energy. You must do something. You can't just sit back and wait for the fairy to come over with its little Tinkerbell wings and go dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Is there a theme? Yes, there's definitely a theme to all of these. All of these are going to make you uncomfortable. All of them are stuff you don't want to do. And all of them are to help you build up a resistance against your natural instincts just taking over. This is all to catch yourself and to be more aware of how you respond to situations. And when you're doing these things, really be in the moment. Don't just do it. Well, I mean, you can just get through the action, but try to really experience it. If you're in a crowded room, don't use your cell phone as a get away from the uncomfortable moment. Don't try to fight the uncomfortable moment. Get more into it. Get more uncomfortable. Really soak in it. Don't try to make the feelings go away. Embrace them. Start to think about what uncomfortable feels like. What is uncomfortable? What's going on what's going on inside of you that's making you uncomfortable? What parts of your body are feeling it? You know, do you feel like your blood pressure's gone up? Do you feel heat in any parts of your body? Do you feel like you're gonna puke? I mean, do your eyes feel like they're more blurry than they should be? Do you feel all itchy for no reason?
Have you ever walked out of a mall into a huge parking area and realized you'd forgotten where you parked your car? Ever gone mountain biking? What do you want to be when you grow up? What's the right tip? Have you called a plumber to your home lately? How superstitious are you? How much money would it take to make you spend a night in a cemetery? Would you display this as a trophy? Do you have a pet? Do you have a sweet tooth? Do you believe in the power of a curse? Have you had your hearing tested lately? Planning a trip soon? Can you remember the tallest man you've ever seen? Do you love to go a-wandering beneath a clear blue sky?
You know, just try to really get in touch with what's going on inside. Like, where are you feeling this? And try to dissect it. It's kind of like later on when we're going to try to see these red flags or these signs that things are going bad, and we're going to try to dissect it. Well, here's a very easy way to start dissecting things, and it's not something that's so out of control like anger. Try to dissect what uncomfortable feels like, or nervousness feels like, or what a cold shower feels like. Like, what parts of your body you feel like, you know, there's glass in them, or, you know, what does a cold shower really feel like other than just shock? You know, is there anything else going on? Or is there any part of your body that doesn't feel cold? Or does it hurt? Or does it not hurt? Or does it feel like it hurts but it really doesn't hurt?
Have you noticed what big stars real estate agents have become? Are you careful with your personal records? Does your computer ever seem to have a mind of its own? Have you ever visited a Chinatown section in a major city? Have you ever visited a flea market? Have you ever visited a truck stop? Did you ever have a job as a waiter? Have you noticed how many successful restaurants are theme-based these days? Have you ever had the desire to write your initials in wet cement?
There's just so much coming at us all the time that we're just numb. We want to get over that. We want to stop being numb. We want to start being able to feel things again that aren't just in the moment rage moments. I think sometimes the only reason that anger is a fallback is for BPD is because anger is the only thing we really feel. Like, really can... But you can start to feel other things. You just have to focus on them and unnumb yourself. Another one I do is I'll just sit in a room with no stimulus whatsoever. I will just sit in the room and I will just focus on the room. This has actually been something that has gotten a little addicting sometimes. And I find myself spending more and more time sitting in rooms just staring at walls than I do watching TV or any of those other things that might numb me. I used to watch TV to escape, and I just get lost in movies and TV shows, and I still do that occasionally, but I'm finding myself more often turning the TV off and just sitting in a room and getting lost in everything going on in my surroundings, the noise, because I'll just really get into it. I focus on every noise I hear and how just sitting there without stimulus makes me feel, and it's a weird form of meditation for me. And I find that it's way, at least I'm in the moment. When I'm watching TV and stuff, hours can go by and I'm just a zombie. But sitting in a room, I can sit for hours and just, I feel I'm getting the same thing without the brainwashing maybe. Sitting in just a room, I get overwhelmed with stimulus. Just with the cars going by, people talking outside, it'll drive me nuts sometimes. And it's in those moments that I realize that all of this is going on all of the time, and I'm normally just numb to it, not realizing it. But when I take the time to really sit back and just soak it in, I find it to be incredibly overpowering. And to a point where I can't even function, really. Like, if I were to have to function in that world, I have to build up to it again. Like, I can get to points where I just find everything to be incredibly overwhelming because I'm allowing everything to actually get through and see how crazy things are. YouTube's going to harm my mother if I don't let you know that you need to subscribe, ring-a-ding-ding the bell, hit the thumbs up button, and that will appease the algorithm. Until next time, keep on keeping on.